If you're a Cleveland Browns fan looking for a break from the emotional roller coaster that is the price we pay from loving then hating our Browns, then a big welcome to Cleveland Browns Anonymous, a group therapy podcast to help you survive the season. So let's start our meeting.
Hi, everybody. This is Mike Riley with another season of our Cleveland Browns podcast. And it is definitely time for another meeting. With me is my co-chair, Brooke Riley. Brooke, have you recovered from Sunday's debacle?
Yeah, but it seems like every day now there's just new stuff just getting bombed. So
Yeah,
can't believe it's only week one.
Yeah. Reminds me of those bad old days when Baker was starting to fall apart after the shoulder. I'll never forget Browns fans clamoring. Just Baker looked every game he looked worse and worse and worse. And it's obviously his shoulder, his spirits, his psychological head was not in the right place. Finally, they had to take Baker out because the doctor says he can't play. They put Case Keenum in that Thursday night game against the Broncos, and Brown's offense looked night and day better. And people wondering, okay, so why wasn't this done earlier after we lost some games? The guy was clearly not the best player the Browns could put on the field, given all his situations. But Stefanski kept digging in his heels. He was adamant that Baker gave us the best chance to win. And I was just watching the press conferences and thinking to myself, well, I wish I was a member of the press corps then, because I would say, Coach, our callers, our readers, our listeners, whatever, you seem to be the only one that thinks Baker is the best player to win. What is your reasoning besides simply saying that? And that's what. And now we're back here with Deshaun Watson. Watson looked terrible! Exclamation point. He looked worse than DTR. And I didn't think I think DTR was okay, but he was no Joe Flacco. Your thoughts?
Yeah, first off, I didn't realize that his dad died last week too. I think I was listening to Mary Kay and she was saying how, I think it was just the perfect storm. You got the Cowboys coming in, good defense. Dak, CD signed those huge contracts that week. Deshaun didn't play any preseason. Offensive line was completely revamped. And yeah, there's no sugarcoating it. He looked terrible.
New offense. They're jumping off sides, or not jumping on. They're motion penalties. They look discombobulated. And I'm just done.
I'm just done with. It's like you listen to these podcasts. I listen to Bill Simmons. I know you do. I'm watching YouTube stuff about it. They're the laughingstock of the league, and it's bad when it's not like they're laughing at us, but they're saying, "Man, I really feel bad for these Browns fans." That's when it's like, God, is it that bad? I don't know if you heard, but a couple hours ago, it was released that, the lawyer for this new victim, he said, look, we've been trying to reach them for like 10 months. No one's getting back to us. And just FYI, she has a video of all this. So I'm kind of like, I'm just kind of done, It's like,
well, you kind of wonder what. Again, it goes back to Ray Farmer, Johnny Manziel, Brian Hoyer. who is pulling the strings here? I mean, it's Haslam sending the word from on top. We got to stick with this guy. We pay all this money, draft picks. I mean, who is? I mean, I give a lot of props to Stefanski and Andrew Berry working together. At least that dysfunction's not in the house anymore. It's not like
Right.
Sashi Brown and Hugh Jackson, and of course Haslam's picked Hugh Jackson over, the coach at Buffalo, Sean McDermott. Haslam overrules them in terms of picking Derek Carr over Manziel. And then, of course, you get the classic owner, bad president, who then pushes people to make a decision and then does not come out and say, this was my call and owns it. I am so sick and tired of so-called leaders, and we're seeing this in the political realm, and I don't want to get into the weeds on that, who just will throw these people under the bus. And I think this whole Deshaun Watson thing, hey, I hate to say it, Brooke, I got nothing against Deshaun. I don't know the guy. We all wanted him to succeed. We all wanted him to get a second chance. But if they got a video and this happened, sexual assault as opposed to massage time where, hey, you're flashing a 50 or 100. Can you go a little deeper with the massage, whatever? And they say, okay, yeah, I'll do it. Or say, no, I won't do it. But he's not assaulting these people. He's not threatening them. They're going to lose their jobs if they don't go deeper with the massage. But sexual assault, hey, goodbye, done. Okay, goodbye. And if that's the truth, this guy's got to go. I cut him some slack on the massage thing, but this sexual assault, this guy's just got to get run out of the league. If we get our money back, we rolled the dice. It didn't work out. And who knows? Maybe Jameis is another Joe Flacco. But all I know, Brooke, is last year when Flacco got out of the couch, rolled in, I'm watching that first game Flacco's playing. I'm like, who is this team?
I know.
The ball's going out in
it was so much
3
fun.
seconds. I mean, now it's like every game you're watching the offense, it's like a root canal now. And what makes it even worse is that you're dealing with a coach who's not pulling the guy off the field. And you know what? I don't know why they didn't pull him off the field in the fourth quarter. They didn't play him in the preseason game. They didn't play him. They got him. They're running out these plays where he's running around the pocket. He's getting hammered 20 times. He's got a bad shoulder. And it's just sort of like, oh my God, do we have another coach that just can't handle a quarterback situation? And what kind of message is that sending to the locker room? Where the best player is clearly not on the field at the quarterback position, right?
Yeah, that's right.
He's not the best player. Aren't the best players in practice, if they have a bad game? It's one thing when, you got a guy dropping passes or maybe, okay, I'll cut Stefanski some slack. Everybody looked bad on that offense. Everybody. All right. So I'm not even watching this game in Jacksonville. I'm just going to watch it on my phone what the score is. I can't bear to watch it. And unfortunately, folks out there, Brooke Riley, new dad, 3-month-old, promising himself, I'm not gonna do this. I'm not gonna do that. I'm not gonna get mad. I'm not gonna throw things, I don't want to scare my newborn son, right, Brooke? Within 2 minutes, he completely forgot about it. You go, get him. And of course, the baby starts crying because you're feeding them, right?
Right. Spilled milk all over my couch.
I know the dogs would run out of the room when I was watching the Browns game, so that's why that's why it's Cleveland Browns Anonymous. We're having our meeting. All right,
I will say
turn.
that, I was listening to the press conference on Wednesday because that's when Stefanski has his press conference. And normally, he's pretty chill, very polite, very cordial, a little bit of, I would say like a politer version of like Bill Belichick, not giving a lot of like straight answers. But you could just tell, because obviously the first, like all the questions at the start was, did you know about this new case? Did you, were you aware of it? And you could just tell, I mean, he was completely blindsided. And he kept saying, like, look, it's Wednesday. I have a game on Sunday. We put out a statement, like, I'm not answering any more of these questions. That tells me that the Browns were completely blindsided by this whole thing. And, of course, the next day, all these ESPN guys and all these pundits, they, actually read the fine print of his contract. And if he gets suspended for a game, the Browns have every right to void the guarantees. So, they assigned the same investigator who gave him the 11-game suspension. News came out this morning that this victim has a video. So, but it's like you said, like, I'm just kind of done. I don't need this.
Yeah.
I mean,
yeah.
And like on top of that, his play is just total crap. So it's like you're paying this guy all this money. He's not delivering. And on top of that, we have to deal with, all this drama. And if it's true, I mean, I feel so bad for this victim and all these victims. And I will say though that I think that if he does get suspended, or if they do decide to just like, cut the loss, I do have a feeling that Jimmy Haslam will step up and say like, look, you know what, at the end of the day, this was my call. Because he's known to do that recently.
Good. I hope he does.
I know that when they did sign him, he made it clear that, no, I'm talking. My wife is going to talk. I'm going to talk. We're going to explain our process.
Good.
And
thank you.
It was
thank you.
Okay,
thank you.
But at the end of the day, it's Jimmy's call, because there is no way that he would have given Andrew Berry the keys to have a $230 million fully guaranteed contract out there. That gets the okay from the owner.
Yeah.
So,
well, you know what? Andrew Berry has always, and the Browns organization has given us hope over these last couple of years, because they're always thinking outside the box. They always seem to be making smart moves, seemingly smart moves. And it reminds me of how the Guardians operate. I mean, look at the Guardians. They pick up these two pitchers from the scrap heap. I keep forgetting this guy, Boyd, and who's the other guy's name? Because they're so new. All they do is come in and throw zeros.
Well, look what they did, because they were in the same boat with Trevor Bauer, where he was accused of like heinous sexual assault charges. And they were like, we're done. Screw this guy. They cut him. Yeah. Now I think it's a little more complicated because
they did that with another pitcher, starting pitcher. I forget, a couple of years ago. This guy was partying with Clevenger during COVID.
Yeah. Right.
And they got rid of Clevenger in a heartbeat. And of course, look who eventually picks up Clevenger, who eventually, of course, blows out his arm the way this guy pitches, is the White Sox. An historically bad organization.
Hey, let's stop here. We got to pay some bills. 30 seconds. And we'll be back. Getting your house ready to sell, or you just need some basic repairs, and you can't get anybody to come out or even return your phone call. Then call Riley Painting and Contracting, your home mechanics, for all of your home repair needs, from electrical, plumbing, roof repairs, and getting your house ready to sell. 45 years in the business, a AAA on the Better Business Bureau, and we're on the preferred contractor list in Cleveland Heights and Shaker Heights. You can contact us by calling 216-371-8160 and leave a message, and guess what? We'll call you back.
The Browns used to be that organization. You know, Hugh Jackson, Romeo, I mean, Mangini, Ray Farmer. I mean, Pettit. I mean, these coaches just Chud. I can't keep track of them. It was like an endless parade of incompetence.
Yeah. Well, it just sucks too, because I feel like the Browns have everything checked off, right? They got a coach who's he's a two-time coach of the year. The front office is young. They seem to, they're making good moves. They're trading for Amari Cooper. They're signing their key guys. We got Jim Schwartz. I think, the defense didn't play well on Sunday, but you're also going up against a really great offense. We got a kicker. We got Myles Garrett, defending defensive player of the year. I mean, like, this whole roster is, like, on paper, it's like we should be talking about, like, the playoffs. We should be talking about how we're going to kick Jacksonville's ass. But now we're talking about Deshaun Watson and another case. And it's like, who needs this drama? I mean, I would bet
exactly.
everything.
But the fact is, Watson is not ready. Joe Flacco came in and immediately showed everybody how to drive the car. I mean, this offense is like a Lamborghini. And the reality is, go back and watch that game. Watson, once again, he's holding the ball too long. He's going back. He's looking around. He's trying to make things happen. Maybe he could have gotten away with that, 3-4 years ago with the Texans, because the Texans had a notorious bad offensive line. He was getting sacked all the time. That was the problem. They just got a bad O-line. They got a bad O-line. No, I'm kind of rethinking that. Is it really a bad O-line, or do you have a quarterback where the O-line doesn't even know where he is half the time? He's not checking down. It's like he's back in college. He's throwing up there. And Stefanski's no Bill Parcells. Could you imagine Bill Parcells coaching the Browns? That guy was the frickin' quarterback whisperer. I mean, he gets Testaverde on the Cowboys, and he just turns his career around. He tells Testaverde, this is how you're going to do it. You're going to go back. If that play isn't open, you throw it in the bleachers. I mean, I had NFL refs tell me that when I was playing golf with them. I told you that story. They said Parcells is easily the best coach in football. He'll take these quarterbacks. Tony Romo, he developed them. He got in their head. Phil Simms. He got the most out of Bledsoe. He comes in, and the first thing he establishes, I'm in charge. This is what you do. And if they don't do what he does, guess what he does? He sits them down. Could you imagine what Parcells would have done with Baker Mayfield? I mean, it boggles the mind what he would have done with him. And we're running the same problem with Watson. We got a situation where we feel like we're at the whip end of a guy who's got such a big contract, they're afraid to bench him. They're just hoping he will quickly develop. They looked at the Cowboy game probably as a preseason game. And that's sad. And that's dispiriting.
So I know. Yeah. Well,
and that's it. That's really
they're getting burned because some of the Browns were talking today, these little press conferences, and they were saying how, yeah, these next couple games we're gonna learn, our new offense, and I'm like, isn't that what the preseason's for?
Yeah. Hey, didn't
Isn't
you
that what
learn
training
the
camp's for?
frickin'? Didn't you learn the frickin' offense in the frickin' Greenbrier? What are you guys going down there? And you know what? I am so done with quarterbacks taking their players on these trips to the Bahamas, bonding trips. No, we're not doing that. Really? That's bullshit.
Why don't you do
You
that
do
after
that.
you win a couple, a
Yeah.
Super Bowl?
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you. This bonding crap is, Browns fans have seen it all. They've seen the incompetent owner. They've with Modell and Lerner, who just basically bought the team and checked out. They've seen incompetent general managers picking coaches and then squabbling. They've seen, and it's just, and now, like you said, Brooke, we checked all the boxes except one. It's a sore thumb sticking out. It's the quarterback once again. It's like James Carville when Clinton won in 92. It's the economy, stupid. It's the quarterback, stupid. You put Case Keenum in, you let him manage the Maserati, the Lamborghini that you're driving, which is the offense. You put Joe Flacco in, who was written off. All of a sudden, he's got the keys to the Maserati, and he's just taking on the freeway and going 150 miles an hour. Yeah. You put Watson in the Maserati, and he hits a fucking tree with it. And that's what it is. He's not, you know what? He's not ready to drive the car. Okay? Here's the clipboard. And Deshaun, when I tell you to get that frickin' ball out of your hands in under 3 seconds, I mean it. You start doing that runaround shit, making it happen. Here's the clipboard. Have a seat. All right? It's Josh McCown time.
I wonder if he's available.
Who? Josh McCown.
Josh McCown. I like that guy, man.
He was a winner. Too bad he could come in and
you know what?
Probably.
You know what the worst? You know what was just like the cherry on top on Sunday was Baker just balling out. He won Player of the Week, 4 touchdowns.
Yeah.
Good for him. I always liked Baker.
I like Baker. Baker needed a better coach. He had Hugh Jackson, then he had what's his face? Freddie, who was incompetent. And then, he just he's crying for a contract. He got dysfunctional. And he had to get humble. Nobody wanted him. He had a bad reputation. And he looked terrible with Carolina. Right? I mean, people forget. Hey, guys, he's with Tampa Bay. He's got Mike Evans, and he's playing the Washington Commanders. Please. Okay? So I wanted Baker to do so well with the Browns. I liked his style, I liked his moxie, I liked his attitude. But then when it came to crunch time, Kansas City Chiefs throws an interception. He slips. They play him in regular season the following year. Once again, we have another drive. Can't do it. He's no Tom Brady. All right? And that's what you need. At crunch time, we need somebody who's going to move down the field. He's got Nick Chubb in the backfield. He's got guys to throw to, and he just sees stuff. Remember the Green Bay game? He threw 4 interceptions or something like that. Pittsburgh game, he got sacked 10 times? And you're asking yourself, why is this guy out there? Okay? So Deshaun, like Baker, right now is not the best player at that position. and he shouldn't be playing. So,
well, it's also too, it's, I'm a big believer that you get your quarterback through the draft, same coach, same GM, on the same page. Stefanski and Barry, they've never had that. So,
yeah.
I mean, I think the ship has sailed on Watson. I think the Browns are just waiting for, this investigation to be over. It doesn't sound great. I think, if he does get suspended, cut him, take the loss,
Yeah.
do what the Broncos did, with Russell Wilson, and just, hey, you're just gonna have to eat mud for a couple
I don't
weeks.
think so. We got a good organization. I mean, look what Flacco did with that team.
I meant in the media.
In the media. Yeah, but the thing, take your medicine, right. Move on. Hey, I don't think it's any surprise that they didn't trade DTR. Yeah. I don't think it's any surprise they didn't pick up Jameis Winston. I think they looked at Jameis Winston and said to themselves, this is a younger version of Joe Flacco who can come in and run the offense that we're designing for Deshaun. And this guy seems he's born again Christian, he's sober, he's clean, he's a grown-up. He's like Joe Flacco, right? That's what this organization needs. So if we can limp along, you know what? We're going to pick it up next week, folks. I'm not watching this game. I wouldn't even mind betting against the Browns. That way, if the Browns surprise me, I don't mind losing the money. I've done that many times.
Jacksonville -3.
Yeah, we're getting 3. Yeah.
Home opener for the Jags.
Yeah. No, you got a healthy Trevor Lawrence. No. Watson's going to lay. Go ahead.
The most Browns thing that will ever happen is Watson balls out against Jacksonville, the Giants next week. He's looking great. And then the NFL is like, yeah, he's suspended.
Oh, yeah, that's typical Browns.
I mean, that's like, I already know that's like, if you wanted me to put some money on that, yeah, I could see that happening.
Yeah, but I don't see that happening. Watson just, the funny thing is he did look pretty good against Baltimore on the road. But even then, you kind of, I wouldn't mind looking back at that game and just studying what exactly happens. He's still running around. So anyways, I think we've covered a lot of bases here. I got a lot. It's been a good meeting, Brooke. So folks, we'll pick it up next week. The episode drops probably middle of next week. All right, Brooke?
All right, sounds good.
All right, thanks, guys.
Thank you for listening to the Cleveland Browns Anonymous podcast with Mike Riley. We have a lot more content on the way as we get this new podcast started. You can also check out some of our other podcasts like the Cleveland Real Estate Investor Podcast and other new ones that will start soon. On any platform that you find yourself listening to us on, feel free to leave us a like or comment or follow us. It always helps.